camera speed, sound speed, and go.
Hi guys, so it's actually our honor this morning to actually interview Chalwyn from Transforming Minds. I love to call in our business, she's our patron goddess. So it's really cool for us that she made the time to actually do this interview. So Chalwyn, welcome.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Tell me. So we'll jump straight into it. So the first chapter of the book is called Accept. So what kind of responsibility did you have to accept when starting Transforming Minds?
So Transforming Minds was a business I started on the back end of a business that failed. So I had to accept that my previous business had failed and move on to something new and start again. So it's, in my world, I think a normal thing as an entrepreneur, you want to keep on making the magic. So you need to accept to be able to move on to start something new. So effectively, that's what I needed to accept. The failure in the first one, and learn from those failures to move on and create new opportunities in a new business.
So the failed business, you would say it was a good thing?
Absolutely. The lessons learned were absolutely incredible.
Great.
Yeah.
I think it's great that we get that from someone like you that's been such a success. So in visualizing, so you already had a failed business. I'm sure there were a lot of fears also attached to the new business you probably need to start, right?
Yes.
So how did you visualize Transforming Minds? What did it become? What did you see it become in your mind before it actually became what it became?
So in my mind, the businesses I've engaged in have always been focused on creating change. So that's what I see, is creating change on the planet, doing the things that I really love doing, and changing people's lives and corporates' lives, creating change. So that's what I see, and that's what drives me in everything that I do as it relates to business. Empowering and developing and creating change. Those are the three things that I visualize when I engage in any process. If it's not there, it's not part of what we're going to do.
Great, because that's something personal to you.
That's a personal thing, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So then it brings us to our third chapter, the declaration part. So we had a brief little back and forth before the interview. So on the declaration part, who did you declare to that Transforming Minds was, this is a business, it was a failed business, but we're doing this now?
I guess ultimately it was a declaration to myself that I needed to move on and that I needed to do something different. However, obviously, I had already had clients in my previous business, so I needed to obviously engage with them and let them know that the businesses were legally, the legal structures were changing, and then obviously go through the legal compliance changes that needed to happen in setting up a new business and doing things differently. So yeah, that's the declaration ultimately that I needed to make. Firstly to myself, I think that is probably the hardest one, especially in the declaring that you're actually accepting that the first one didn't work out.
Promise to yourself.
Yeah, it's a promise that you're going to make it work this time around and make it work differently from learning from all of the lessons you had in your first business. So.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what I have done. Is everything where I did not understand or did not know how to do things the first time around, those things have absolutely been implemented and understood in the second time around. So.
And you're much better equipped now as well.
Absolutely. Those lessons, and if you don't learn from them, then you're ultimately a failure. So even though the business didn't work, I don't see myself as a failure because there were lessons learned, and in applying those in my new business, that's definitely not a failure. So yeah.
Great, you mentioned apply, which brings us to our final chapter, the doing part. So how did you apply what you've learned through all the phases to Transforming Minds?
So adding value, that's what drives us. So our business model, we don't focus on generating money. The business model focuses on how we can create change and add value. And in adding value and creating change, that's our doing part. Everything we do is focused on those aspects to improve business, to improve people. And in adding the value to businesses and people, that's how we generate and do what we do. And that's a passion. I live my passion every day, so that's ultimately what I do.
And you do it through your other businesses as well?
Yes, so I am a Sheldon Director in Changing Directions, which is also applying exactly the same models and growing beautifully with myself and Charles Martin, who's my other business partner in that business. So yeah, that's not on my own though.
but that's great, right? I mean, that's such an inspiring story. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that would love to hear things like this because you sometimes hit a crossroads in your life and you don't know which way to go.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful that you've applied both your personal self and your business self to create something that's fully you.
Yeah.
I mean that you've invested yourself into it, so there's no chance that it would step out because it's you.
No.
You can't be anyone else.
Yeah, and it's about trying to get that passion across to everyone who work with you as well. So I've got an amazing team.
Yeah,
And without that team, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So it's trying to instill the passion you have for what you do on a daily basis in everyone that works with you and all your clients and the people that you engage with. That's ultimately the objective. So, because it must be a happy place.
No, always. I agree. I mean, the amazing team is actually surrounded by them. There's one sitting over there and more downstairs. Then, in closing, accept, visualize, declare, do. Do you think this is something that these principles can only be applied to business or can be applied to your personal life as well?
I apply it in everything that I do. So it's personal and business. Visualization, affirmation is something that drives me in everything that I do. And passion. So accept, declare. What were the 4 stages? Is accept, visualize, declare, and do. So absolutely, you apply every single one of those. Yes, it can be applied in all areas of your life.
Fantastic.
That's it. So.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, guys. That's it.